Day 5 of Understanding Literature, Contextualize the Literature. And what that involves is understanding and analyzing the historical context, the social and cultural context, and the intellectual background in which the piece of literature was written. Doing this is going to help you have a deeper understanding of the text, the author's intentions, and the themes within the text. This involves fervent comparative study because when it comes to the historical context, you have to differentiate between the historical context and the historical tradition. So when you're examining the historical context, understand the period in which the work was written, you have to consider the politics, the social and cultural events that may have taken place that influenced the work, that influenced the author's perspective. So what were the prevailing ideologies or the movements or conflicts at the time? Definitely think about that. I am big on researching the author. Remember, many people write via pen names. So the pen names will have a pseudo history attached to it. These are the extra steps that I had to take because we get so caught up in knowing what we know. So for various reasons, we're constantly researching the author in which we think. And then we finally get to it's a pen name, and we realize who the real author is. And so then you have to do additional research for that author. When it comes to historical traditions and social context, you are going to want to examine the values, the beliefs, and the customs of the society in which the author lived in. And this is why it's important to actually figure out who the actual author was and not just the pen name. You want to consider the impact of religion, gender roles, social classes, and other cultural and social factors when it comes to the text. When you're analyzing all of these things, remember to pay close attention to the language, themes, the symbols, and any motifs because you want to look for elements that reflect the historical and cultural context in which you've researched. These things, the author's personal experiences or societal influences could have influenced the author's writing. And by all means, please reflect on the intended audience of the work. Going back to taking your modern mind out of the ancient text and putting yourself in that time period. You have to understand the readership of the perceived time period and how the context may have been received. Consider how the author's choices may have been influenced by the expectations or the preferences of the population.